Hey guys, my name's Lily. I'm here to narrate a story. I'm used to starting to like this, because that's what I say when I read books to kids at the library. I'd like to start off with the moral of the story. Don't be so jealous that you're fueled to ruin someone's life. I'm about to tell you my personal story. Something I went through, what's happened is unbelievable and it's difficult to come to terms with. The effect it's had on my life can never be mended or reversed. I've been through a very messy divorce and have been reduced to absolutely nothing. My husband, Trevor, divorced me because my sister-in-law, Audrey, suddenly urged him to do a paternity test because my son did not look much like any of us. To my surprise, the DNA test showed that Trevor was not the father, and my husband divorced me for it. I know I didn't cheat, though. It just doesn't make sense. I know the baby is his. I'm pretty sure that Audrey pulled some strings and faked the results. The whole family left me penniless with my baby, and I did not receive anything, because I allegedly cheated. My husband did not even give me a chance to explain, and I'm pretty sure you'd want to know why she would do that. Well, this is going to be a long post because I'm going to tell you every single detail about what exactly happened and about Audrey's jealousy. You see, Trevor went to an Ivy League school and graduated from business. I think that's when the jealousy started. Audrey had bad grades, so she simply could not get into the Ivy League, so she asked my in-laws to use their connections. My in-laws have their principles, and they did not really want to spoil Audrey much, so they just refused. She went to the university she was accepted into her undergraduate degree. Audrey worked at her family's main business, and she thought that she would immediately be given a position of authority. But she had to start from the bottom. When Trevor completed his post-graduation, he had a higher post than Audrey did when she started. So Audrey thought this was unfair, but their parents argued that it's not a personal decision and that he was just simply more qualified than her. After 2 years of working in the company, Trevor was made CEO because of his people skills, and everybody just favored him because he was taking the business to new heights. So my father-in-law appreciated him for the new approach to work that he brought to the company. The employees were relaxed and efficient, and Audrey disliked this and wanted to stick it to the old ways of working and being bossy. Audrey could not stand it when Trevor was made CEO, even though Audrey's older, and when I met Trevor, it was during the days when he was an ordinary employee in his own company. I didn't know that his parents even owned it, nor did I really know how rich he truly was. I used to work at the primary school, and we met during a food drive for people in need. He was representing his company, and I liked their way of working and their passion for feeding the poor. I told them that I wanted to work with them as a volunteer for future prospects. So we met a couple times during drives and campaigns supporting children's education. I personally am very passionate about education, and I do strongly believe that every child deserves it. We got along well and soon started our relationship. He would always take me to expensive restaurants and pay the bills. I thought he was crazy, and I even asked him why he would spend so much money after a couple of dates. He wasn't revealing how rich he actually was or pretending to be a normal person. His habits definitely were not normal, and he finally told me who he really was. I was surprised at first and just did not think I'd be able to continue the relationship because we had a big difference in upbringing. My mother is just a normal clerk, and my father was a cop and later retired to be a private detective because he wanted to work outside of the system. My parents have always educated on me what's right and wrong in the world, and that I should bring about the change as an individual while living my life to the fullest. Surprisingly, his family had the same beliefs. His family had a legacy of serving the nation and helping the poor. You see, Audrey, however, did not like the amount of money the family was splurging on charity. She believed in grand parties and charity balls for raising money. My father stayed away from the press because he believed that even if they did anything right, the media would find some way or another to tarnish their reputation. No one in the family had social media open to the public. The company had a special account for raising awareness, ran by a spokesperson and a social media manager. They also refrain from any kind of public speaking but are invited by many people. So Audrey did not like the way the family worked at all. Trevor's family did not seem close-minded, but they strictly stuck to any rules and traditions that they had. Their principles aligned with mine, so I was happy spending time with them, They loved me too and made me feel like a part of the family. So Trevor proposed to me and also officially asked my father for my hand in marriage, which I thought was weird, but I guess it was a tradition. Audrey did not like the fact that her parents appreciated my efforts more than hers and just constantly tried to throw shade at me. She'd constantly pick up on my faults and complain that I was not a suitable wife or daughter-in-law. I don't know why she didn't like me, and I tried to talk to her about it, but she was hell-bent on hating me. She told my in-laws and Trevor that I must sign a prenuptial agreement. Well, my in-laws agreed, and I was actually shocked. What happened next left Audrey shocked too. The next day, Trevor came with a prenup stating that I would take 50% of Trevor's assets if we divorced. Audrey was in shock because, according to her, I should have been entitled to absolutely nothing. Well, she was of the opinion that I was just marrying for money and was convinced I would divorce Trevor soon and take everything. There was a clause that said that I would not get anything if I cheated, but at the time that was established, I knew that I would always be loyal to Trevor anyways. Trevor's family said that they trusted me, and since that I'll be joining the family soon, I should get my fair share. Audrey was visibly mad. She didn't even pretend to be friendly with me. She tried to show her family that she was on their side and that she was doing what was best for the family. Well, everyone knew her well enough not to believe her. Audrey was insecure and could not stand that I was entitled to 50% of all of Trevor's wealth, because that was more than what she was worth. She was seeing me as a mere school teacher and tried hard to win her over of the family's affection. She could not stand the fact that an outsider was more entitled to her own family than her. She couldn't see that her family was being hard on her for her own good. Her ego and jealousy were ruining her. She was also insecure about her own brother, and it even showed at work. She didn't like the taking orders from Trevor and would constantly disagree with him and not listen to him. My father-in-law had to intervene to get her to listen. Her ego and manner of talking were also damaging to the business. She was losing clients and nobody wanted her in a higher position because she could not work with other people. She thought that everybody was a misogynist and would not let her be on top because she was a woman. Well, her delusions got the best of her, and she was constantly plotting for her own benefit. And when caught, she would victimize herself. She even tried to propose illegal activities to the company to gain more profit. She thought that she would gain some respect and appreciation if she did work harder. She would spend extra hours at work, and Trevor would prioritize family. She did not like the fact that she was getting the fruits of her labor. So, Audrey suggested that I quit my job because working as a school teacher was bad for the reputation of the family. The family thought her opinion was utter crap, so I asked her why she had a problem with me, and she told me that she thought I did not deserve anything, and that she'd do anything in her power to show me my actual place. Well, I tried to counsel her into focusing on herself rather than me, but she got mad and she pushed me, resulting in me getting injured. The whole family was so mad at her and warned her to stay the heck away from me. I had to be rushed to the doctor, and that's when we all found out I was actually pregnant with my first baby. We were over the moon, and, we let Audrey's mistake go. I don't know what came over Audrey after that, but she constantly tried to prove that I was cheating. She accused me of cheating on Trevor with my coworker, a kindergarten teacher. Everyone dismissed her because of her not-so-hidden hatred for me. They warned her about the consequences if she kept her act up, so she stayed quiet, and throughout my pregnancy, Audrey would keep trying to prove that I cheated. She wasn't even there during my birth. Audrey continued to hate me, and we had our usual spats after that. Even after my baby Riley was born, she constantly tried to voice her opinion against me. Apart from that, Audrey did not do anything major, and I learned to deal with her, and she did not cause many issues, so we never took her seriously. My father-in-law put her into a counseling because of her toxic behavior in the hope that she might change. It's been reflected in the workplace, but there's no cure of her jealousy and ego. It's helped, but not to the extent that we had hoped it would, and we've been living as a happy family, and I've continued working as a school teacher. My in-laws have been extremely supportive and have helped us with parenting without being too intrusive. They're constantly over and just have always, ready to take care of Riley without even skipping a beat. We do have a house help, and of course we have nannies, but we have a strict policy that they don't intrude on our family time or our personal hours. My in-laws would always encourage Trevor and me to spend time together as a couple and would babysit him. Audrey was always cold towards Riley and would always throw shade at my ways of parenting, try to correct me or give me unsolicited advice. Audrey suddenly started to plant a seed in my in-law's head that Riley looked nothing like Trevor, and it was weird. See, Riley had a weird hair texture and everyone was in doubt. They took him to a doctor without my consent and the doctor said it was genetics. They told Trevor, and Trevor had a paternity test done for the benefit of the doubt. This was all being done behind my back, by the way. They did a paternity test and did not even bother to inform me. Well, the results came back and they showed that the child was not Trevor's. That was a day when my life changed. Trevor kicked me and Riley out. He didn't even give me a chance to prove my innocence, and I just took my stuff and moved to my parents' house. Trevor sent me a divorce notice the very next day, and I tried to prove my innocence in the trials and begged for another test, telling them the test was rigged, and the results were obviously fake. They did the DNA test again, and to my surprise, it was not in my favor. Well, I was shocked, and I knew Audrey had something to do with it. I know she rigged the test, and I just don't know how she's managing to do it. Not only did I not get anything after the divorce because of the prenup, but I lost my husband, and now I'm just alone and confused. I know I did not cheat, and I'm positively sure that Audrey is the one who did all this. See, Trevor used his connections and I got fired from my job. My parents believe me and they've been extremely supportive as I try to find a new job. Apparently, my previous school did not recommend me and I could not find a new job. Now I'm a single mother trying to find a source of income for Riley. See, I've been framed for being a cheater. I know I'm not a cheater. I'm going to try to find a job as a waitress tomorrow because I don't have any other options left. I can't stay dependent on my parents for long. The longer I stay at home, the more I get upset thinking about how Audrey took my husband and my livelihood away from me. I want to prove my innocence, but I just don't know how to really do it. I beg them to believe me that I did not cheat. Sometimes I look at Riley and wonder for a bit, well, why he doesn't look like anyone in the family. He doesn't even look like me. I just pray to God every day that my family realizes that I'm innocent and that I did not cheat. For Riley's sake, everyone's going to make fun of him at school, and the world's going to just never forget. If anybody has any suggestions on what I can do, please help. I can't get another DNA test without Trevor's consent, and I tried calling him to give me another chance, but he's blocked me everywhere. I just feel so helpless, and I hope things get better for me and Riley. Update number 1. Hello readers, I've discovered something major about Riley. I want to share this with you all because there's been a misunderstanding. It's not what I thought it was. I was shocked, as you'll be, after reading this, and I don't know how to deal with the truth. It's honestly too much for me to bear because the truth is that Riley is not my son. I didn't give birth to Riley, and my father told me to take a DNA test because Riley did not look like me either. I didn't have any doubts, but I still did it because my father's insistence. It showed that I'm not Riley's mom. I couldn't believe it, so just to be sure I took another one, and I wasted a lot of money on this. But in the end, I had to conclude that Riley is not my son. I had to get to the bottom of this, how it even happened, and I've been trying to contact Trevor and show him. I even emailed him, but he replied and told me to stop playing games. He doesn't believe things that I say anymore. My father is a private detective, and he promised he'd help me out and find out the truth. I know I gave birth to a son, but I didn't know how it was possible that the child with me was not my son at all. Well, I just didn't know how that could possibly be possible. The only plausible explanation is that Riley must have been switched at birth. Well, I went through all of Riley's pictures, and it's always been the same baby. We went with the lead that he was switched at birth. So we went to the hospital where Riley was born, and my dad had ratted me for a whole day, asking me to narrate everything that happened the day that he was born. My dad was authorized to ask questions and check any CCTV footage. The nurse who took my baby after Riley was born suspiciously went missing that night. My dad got so mad at why any action wasn't taken. You see, the CCTV footage was missing too. And, well, I'll be suing the hospital, that's for sure. But first, what we found out, though, did surprise us. The CCTV from the street was still intact. It was raining that day, and visibility was very, very low. I saw a woman enter the hospital at 1 a.m. after Riley was born, and I just immediately recognized it as Audrey from her coat. I could not see her face, but I knew it was her. Audrey wasn't at home that day, and it was then that I realized that Audrey had switched my baby. I wanted to call the police immediately, but my father convinced me not to, because even though I've sounded evidence that Riley is not my blood, it'll be difficult to prove that Audrey switched the baby. My dad asked me to wait until we find some concrete evidence against her, so that she'll admit it and it'll be easier to find my real baby. I know for sure that the woman in the CCTV footage is Audrey. I just have that strong gut feeling, so my dad and I concluded that her real motive was to prove that I was a cheater, just to get rid of me and make sure that I got nothing because of the terms of the prenup. I can't believe she planned something so deep, because she could not possibly ever get dirt against me. I know I'm loyal and innocent, and she's ruined lives so badly with her willingness to destroy me. Trevor and I have been parenting a child that's not even ours, and I have no clue what she did with my real baby. So, guys, I'm typing this now because I can't sleep at night, knowing that my baby might be somewhere else. I mean, God knows what he's doing and who he's with. What was Audrey even doing to him? Is he even alive? I hope he is. All these thoughts are just racing in my head, and tomorrow is just another big day. Dad and I are going to investigate more tomorrow. Hopefully, I will find my baby. And I hope I'll find him tomorrow. Of course, my love for Riley hasn't changed. He's sleeping with my mother for now, safe and sound. The poor kid doesn't even know the truth. Guys, please wish me luck. Update number 2. Hello, readers. All of you have been blowing up the comment section for an update, and I know I've left you curious. I really appreciate the love and support I've received in the comments, and I used to journal before all of this happened. It honestly gave me a lot of peace, and I'm used to it. I've stopped journaling, but I think this is a replacement for it. Never in my life did I think that I'd be here. So let's pick up where we left off, shall we? I told you that a nurse has been missing since that day. We asked the hospital what happened, and they simply told us that she had put her resignation in, and just left. Since then, there's been absolutely no contact with her, and all her friends have been to her house. Her name's Brenda. She's 56. Her husband and son died in a car crash, and she has absolutely no relatives. We asked her neighbors, and they all said that they received a call from her telling them that she moved. We knew that she was alive, but we just had to find out where she was. She never told anybody where she moved, and this happened quite a while ago. So we got the number from which she called and traced it to an old age home. It was a 3-hour drive from here, so we rushed there as soon as we got a hint. We had a picture of Brenda from the hospital for reference, and the person on duty told her the name was not Brenda, the name is Nancy. So we requested that they let us talk to her, and my dad told them that he was a cop. They were apprehensive at first, but let us in. So we requested that we talk to her alone. Brenda recognized me and exclaimed, "Thank God you found me." So I immediately broke into tears after that, confirming that Audrey had switched the children, and Brenda had caught her doing so. Audrey rendered Brenda unconscious by hitting her on the head. She kidnapped Brenda, dropped her in the old age home, donated a huge sum of money to keep their mouths shut, and made fake documents of Brenda and herself. Audrey introduced herself as a rich Brenda's niece. Additionally, she made Brenda call everyone and tell them that she moved and threw money in Brenda's face. But Brenda still felt guilty about everything. Brenda says that she tried to reach me and she's been trying to tell people the truth, but everybody just thinks that she's crazy. Brenda was a witness to what Audrey did. I felt bad for her because she literally ruined the poor old lady's life. I promised her that things would get better and called the cops on Audrey. Thankfully, Trevor had found evidence against Audrey back at home. They all went to have dinner at Audrey's, and Trevor found both the children's birth certificates and Riley's adoption papers. Apparently, the birth certificate that was in my possession was fake and forged. The drama has been ensuing when I showed up at Audrey's doorstep with the police. The police took Audrey into custody and she was proven guilty of switching the children using the birth certificate and adoption papers, along with Brenda's statement as evidence. Audrey cried in court that she didn't do it, and accused me of trying to conceal my mistake and take revenge. Audrey tried her best to get out on bail, and she begged her family that she did not want to go. The evidence was against her, but she would not admit it. So she got aggressive and told the authorities that she was too powerful to be put in jail. She threatened just to ruin all of our lives after she used her money to bail herself out. She had no shame or guilt for what she did, and I was inconsolable. I kept asking her why she did it and where my real baby was. Trevor was also begging her to tell us, and she would not open up her mouth because that would mean, well, she has to confess. She was also charged with kidnapping Brenda. She has to compensate all of us, and hopefully, Brenda had enough to spend the rest of her life in peace. But nobody could really compensate for the loss that she suffered. I'm still at my parents' house with Riley, and Trevor's been trying to communicate with me and urging me to come back home. But I'm just mad at the fact that he didn't trust me. The police and my father are working together to find my son. Audrey had left my son at the doorstep of an orphanage. She didn't even stop to ensure whether he was taken in or not. The cops say that if my baby is already adopted, then things could get really complicated. I just hope that he's safe and alive. The orphanage she left him at has informed us that they don't keep babies and that they handled all the situations with the authorities. All we could do right now was sit and wait while the cops try to find my kid. Final update. Hello to all of the beautiful souls who are reading this. I would like to tell you in advance that this will be my last update about this. I felt that I just needed to let you guys know what happened because I owe my mental sanity to you in tough times. I honestly got so much practical replies from you, and you've helped me to stay calm. Some of you have even prayed for my child to return safely. I know it's been a really long time, and a lot of you have probably even forgotten. You see, Audrey is still in jail to this day. Even though she tried her best to bail herself out, with God's grace and the help of the hard-working system, we found our child. His name is Joe, and well, Joe, he's a very healthy and happy boy. We found him at a children's home not so far from here, and we did all the tests and everything to confirm that he was ours. Trevor and his parents were so happy and delighted to see him. So they immediately took him home, and I just wanted to spend more time with Joe, so I moved with Riley back to Trevor's house. Trevor made attempts to reconcile, but I could not do it, knowing that he did not trust or support me when I simply needed it the most. When I found out that Audrey switched the babies at birth, I was obviously devastated, and I felt like I needed Trevor the most. But despite my attempt to reach him, he did not trust me. I know trusting somebody when there's clear evidence against them is tough, but he should have known me well enough to know that I've been a faithful wife. And he should not have trusted Audrey, whose track record clearly shows that she simply cannot be trusted, you know. Trevor's family proved that blood is blood. After all, and of course I did not, like that. I don't want to live like that. Everything seemed temporary and out of place for a while. I got offered my old job back, and I did not take it. I'd worked there for 5 years or so, and they kicked me out in a beat. Instead, I started working for an organization that needed teachers like me. So I joined a school for special need children. The authorities tried to find information on Riley so that we would know more about it. Riley's real mother, Vanessa, gave Riley up for adoption because she was pregnant as a teenager. Vanessa was doing well in her life and was happy and emotional upon seeing Riley. I promised Vanessa that she could come and visit Riley whenever she wanted, as long as she did not tell Riley the truth about her being his real mom. Well, we had to clear the mess up that Audrey made. Since this was a special case and it was already very, very twisted, the court decided to just dissolve Riley's adoption. Audrey was the one who had legally adopted him, and we would not let her have any rights over him for his own safety. Trevor and I jointly adopted Riley because we were so attached to him. Trevor admitted that he missed Riley after the divorce. The boys were getting along well together and we were co-parenting them. I was maintaining distance, but Trevor made attempts to reconcile, so I decided to take a big risk. I decided to reopen my divorce case and also file for the boys' legal custody. I knew that they were powerful and very wealthy, and it was difficult for me to get custody. I got my share of his wealth quite easily, but getting custody was a huge, tiresome battle. The family's track record was against them. They had inflicted damage on my mental health and defamed me, so I also put charges against them. My lawyer and I made a narrative against them using this and proved why they could not create a suitable environment for my child. They were also related to Audrey, and I could not give her access to my children. The court decided that the children were better off with me because I could provide a more nurturing environment. Trevor, of course, would have visitation rights. So I went ahead to take the kids along with a huge share of his wealth. I made a home for us, and now I'm planning to take a new step in my life. I'm going to be investing in businesses that target children. Along with that, I'll also be working closely on raising awareness about adoption and helping children in need. As for Audrey, I sincerely hope she rots in hell.